I'll be the last person to come. I have appointments.
And also joining me this morning is Akon James. Akon James is the head of Communication, Media and Policy Department at Clement Isong Foundation. He's also a socio-political analyst. It's a pleasure to have you here on the show.
Good morning. It's an honor to be here.
Let me just ask, since you mentioned already, let's start off. 24 years of democracy, stable democracy in Nigeria. How would you describe our democracy so far?
It's actually a work in progress. We can't get everything right, but you just look at the previous assemblies, you see that there has been improvement. Previously, we used to have a National Assembly that is always fighting themselves, and they're just there for their benefit, for their selfish interest. But these days, we have seen that a lot of improvement has come. They have made a very significant impact when it comes to enacting laws that will benefit the people. It was always controversy upon controversies, but now we are beginning to see that with the strengthening of the electoral process, we are beginning to see that people are now conscious of what they have to do for the people. They are conscious of what they must do for the people, and that is why people are now asking them questions. Before we had sequential projects and then they will not execute any of them, but we now have a group of people who are actually looking into it. They are going to those villages that they claim that they have done something. They are actually asking questions. There was a situation where a certain group had to go to the interior community to see if one of the projects have been executed. What is always obtainable is when they have a budget allocations for things, and people, because they cannot access those locations, they don't get to know how far the project has gone. But these days, with the procurement bureau of procurement that has been enacted, you see that people are now beginning to follow up all the projects, all of them. So that's the improvement that has come, and you see you're now beginning to see effective representation, and you see people who have not done so well, who didn't do so well, they are now beginning to call them back and bring people that will be more vocal and think about people. Like he rightly said, they are trying to play safe, and playing safe in a situation where the people will need for instance, let's use the Akwa Ibom State Youth Development Fund as an example. The bill is supposed to address unemployment. I'm not talking about the political flag-ups we used to have, where they say they have created up to 1,000 jobs, and there's a company that has started. And I'm not talking about those things. I'm talking about a sustainable framework that will help the people, that will address unemployment, that will empower enterprises, that will also give support agriculture. This is what it's supposed to do. Students who are in school, the bill is supposed to help them integrate into the job market. It give them that support they need to just transition from that school to job market, so that it will be easier for them. They will be able to learn when they are in school, so that when they get into the job market, they are not cool. So that bill was supposed to be a sustainable policy framework that will address those things, but because it's not to the interest of the executive, because the bill was asking for a 3 billion naira, they won't assent it. But if you see the things they have been spending on, you talk about sports, they will tell you that in this year's budget, we budgeted so amount of money for sports. And then if you want to really go into accountability and monitoring measures, you see that most times these figures are actually inflated. So what we need the legislative arm of government to do is to stand their ground most in cases like this, and say, okay, this will benefit the people, because if many people are out of jobs, when you go to some places, you cannot even go at night into some places, because you know that your phone or your laptop or anything will be carted away from you. That's what the bill was trying to address. So we want a situation where these people can stand. We have already interacted with the people, and we know that this is what is going to solve their problem.
Okay.
Why not ascend this? You have a dialogue with them. If you have a dialogue with the executive, tell them that this is what the people want, and you have to assent to it.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure that that's business for the 8th House of Assembly to deal with. Hopefully they can, push that. Hopefully, the governor now will put pen to paper if they push it again to him. If he doesn't, hopefully they have, the will to veto the governor. But if I make out anything from what you've said now, you're simply pointing out that of all the senators that went to the House, in terms of lawmaking, Senator Bassi Albert stood out for you. And in the House of Reps, in terms of lawmaking, Onofiok Luke stood out for you.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yes.
There's representation, and that's another part that I've not heard you speak to.
That's given him, he's a member of the Hall of Fame as one of the most valuable parliamentarians. So our score here is in consonant with what others have observed, that this man has tried, because this was a square peg in a square hole. He was not needful. He was not found wanting while he was at the State House of Assembly. These were capable hands. Leave me there. Let me talk about Emmanuel Luke Bangodo in terms of he has pushed lawmaking. Oversight also he has, but in terms of representation at the local base, I think that's what gave him a lift over his election that he just won. The member representing Eyakenyi in the federal constituency. This is when we talk about go home, because politics for all you care is grassroots, and the guy scored excellently there. So even when election was staggered, he could still make an impact, and we cannot deny him the glory and the credit that guy, you did well. So yes, sure. Leaving there, go to Unyime Idem. Unyime Idem is representing, I think, Okanafon.
At the Clement Isong Foundation. He's also a socio-political analyst. It's been fun talking with you on the show. Thank you.
Thank you for the time, and thank you, Akwa Ibom people, for listening.
All right. And I'm Rt Bassi, constitutional. Thank you to Akwa Ibom people for being part of this show. Your representative. It's time from tomorrow, when that house gets inaugurated, it's time for you to follow up on them. Know your constituency office, right?